Alright, everyone, without further ado, we're going to get right into our game. Like a Machine's going to face check this Tribush right into 5 members here of the Dweebs, and that will be first blood there to Scarra over here on the Dweeb team. The Dinguses are going to fall behind rather quickly, but let's hope they can bring it back, because the Dinguses aren't necessarily known for their team cohesion. Let's introduce everyone. We have Format here on Kale. Sperm on mate 40, better known as Evaniscus on Thresh. Scarra will be playing the mid Lee Sin. Or no, he's actually jungling Lee Sin. Because Format will, of course, be mid on Kale. We just saw a recall out of Get Snuggled on Mundo, so he can go ahead top lane, and then Micro Latios will be on the bot lane as Jinx. The Dinguses are countering over here in the jungle with the shadowy figure going to be that top lane Volibear, stealing away this red along with the benign Sentinel. They have a word there to spot out Get Snuggled if he comes here to check. And we might see a fight up here down in the bottom. They look to be causing a ruckus as well. The ward goes down in the bush and they can't quite take it out. Scarra's going to be stealing away this red buff, and Ting Ting and Like a Machine are not going to be able to get that away. That will be Scarra taking the red buff over here. Get Snuggled will try and delay this red, but it will be Benign Sentinel grabbing that away. And really just a red buff trade in the end there, except for the first blood over here to the Dweebs. Get Snuggled can have a bit of a rough early laning phase. I don't know that a shadowy figure on Volibear can quite do enough to shut him down early. Ooh, again, going down here in the mid lane, and Benign Sentinel can't quite get in there in time. The reactions from Format enough to keep him safe, and he's playing pretty far back here against Rux. I would expect that once he has some vision on Benign Sentinel, that he could go a little bit aggressive, since Kale should have a slightly better trades early on, being able to use that Reckoning for a large amount of damage, and might be able to outtrade Orianna even through the passive magic damage on her auto attacks. Evaniscus and Micro Latios pushing up quite a bit here. Up against the Caitlyn is pretty surprising. There's a lot of wave clear out of a Caitlyn Lulu lane due to the Piltover Peacemaker and the Glitter Lance. However, when you have Evaniscus here on Thresh, he can definitely really have a lot of presence with his hooks there. He's going to miss his death sentence. So, and the flay, actually. Maybe not quite as much presence as he would like, as he has to back off here, pop his potions, and that's actually going to be Tang Tang and Like a Machine most likely claiming the advantage here in the lane. Scarra and Format just hiding here. They're waiting for Benign Sentinel. They're going to gank him as Susie comes in here. There's a Reckoning and the auto attacks going down. The Sonic Wave and the Resonating Strike, and Format grabs the kill, gets the double buffs for himself, and that's going to be a rough mid lane for Rux. Rux is now pinging missing, or it could be Benign Sentinel in a little fit of anger. Evaniscus has to be careful down here, but his team is getting ahead, so I wouldn't be surprised if Scarra came here early, even for a dive. Once he hits level 6 especially, he can jump in there, grab a quick Dragon's Rage on Tang Tang, and then use that Safeguard to escape quickly. Right now, he's just going to be doing counter jungling, which is going to be really strong against Benign Sentinel, who doesn't have the best jungle clear anyway here. Scarra moving in here. Tang Tang was flayed backwards. He might have to use the flash here. He's going to try and auto attack. He flashes out. The flash death sentence misses. Scarra's still on him, though. Can he land that final auto attack? The red buff is sticking down, but it's not enough now. Micro Latios has to be careful. He's really low, and Benign Sentinel's moving in here. He still has his flash. He's going to flash for the stun. There's a Heartseeker Strike. No! The Spear Shot didn't do quite enough damage either. The Zap lands, and that will be all 3 members here of the Dweebs escaping. The Dingus is just not able to do enough to get in there, and a pretty rough gank from Benign Sentinel will at least give them some room to farm up here and put Caitlyn slightly ahead in farm, since I doubt Micro Latios will be able to stick around for long unless Scarra comes in here from the side. I'm not sure if we're going to see a dive here. Get Snuggled in the top lane, trading on the shadowy figure, beating him out even through his regen passive. Scarra is still waiting here in the side, and that's actually a lot of damage going on to the turret. It's almost down to half, and a ward in the bush is going to spot out Scarra. Micro Latios is doing his best to defend up with that Fishbone's long-range rocket launcher. And this is looking to be pretty high tension. It's not too typical we see these early pushes coming out in solo queue, nor do we see pushes very often. Rux just farming out in this mid lane, is slightly ahead in farm, but did give up that kill to his mid laner. Of course it was on the jungler, but Rux did really let him roam around for that, and he can't afford to do that, especially if Format can get a double buff out of it, since that's going to give him a lot of lane pressure, and Rux has to be really careful. He does have the Command Protect to play around with, and Rux is currently alternating points in his command attack and his command dissonance, which gives him a lot of wave clear. Instead of maxing command attack for the ball positioning or command dissonance for the burst damage, both of them just really gives him a lot of utility in the lane and allows him just to consistently clear out those waves, position the ball, and gives him a nice mix of utility there. He also does have the command shockwave for when Benign Sentinel ganks, and that will be a lot of damage and control in there. Of course, Format does have the intervention, but it's just a matter of how long it's going to last for him, and if it's enough to face up against that really aggressive team. The Dinguses are operating without much of a tank. Volibear will get tanky later on into the game, but going top lane, I wouldn't be surprised if he got some aggressive stats as well. When you're jungling with a Pantheon, of course, you're sacrificing a lot of tankiness, since this red team will have both Mundo, Lee Sin, and even Thresh should get tankier later into the game due to that passive, which gives him armor every time he picks up a soul. Starting out at 1, and I believe going down to 1/2, or it might be flat. I don't play Thresh enough. And it might actually just be 0.75 per level. I am not positive. Aveniscus and Microlatios are doing quite well in this lane. They are down in farm, but with all this aggressive play, they have been able to at least shut down Caitlyn's early game somewhat, since Caitlyn should be doing better considering the absolute advantage that she has early game against Jinx. Not only does she have significant range advantage, but the burst coming out from a Bilgewater or from a Piltover Peacemaker is pretty intense. Scarra is going to be moving in here from the bush. He can't go into that next bush or else he will be on a ward. And I'm not sure he knows about it, but if he uses his safeguard effectively, there's a Flay coming out. He's going to run out into the lane, but with the Flame Chompers and the Death Sentence missing, he won't be able to follow up in there. Gets snuggled fighting up in the top lane, pops that Sadism ultimate, and flashes away. Is going to escape from a shadowy figure here, turns around for a briefcase. And the shadowy figure not quite able to finish off that kill, but doing well up here in this matchup. He is ahead about a wave in farm, and even though he has died once, it looks like he's ready to turn that back around. Volibear has a lot of damage on that ultimate as well as with the bite, and he's going to be using that now. With that attack speed buff from his W, he'll work away at that turret, and as long as he has his bite, Get Snuggled has to be careful. Shadow Figure still has his Ignite. He's going to throw it down there on to Get Snuggled, try to bite him out. He does take the kill, but he falls in return there under the turret, and Get Snuggled turns around with a kill of his own. And the bottom lane, Tang Tang is low. The Death Sentence brings him in. The Flay takes him back, and Scar is going to go in there for the last auto attack. Microlatios standing there, taking up one more really good judgment there. Sometimes AD carries can play very cautiously, afraid of taking any damage, but he knew he could tank one more, so he stayed in range so that Scarra wouldn't be in too much danger. Now they will go for this dragon, knowing that the AD carry won't be there to contest it, and I suppose not seeing Benign Sentinel. I don't know they had vision of him, but this is a good call for them. It won't be contested in the slightest. Not even Rux will come down and check it out, and that is a lot of global gold here to the dweebs. The Dinguses have to be careful not to fall so far behind so early. Rux going to be trading up here with Format, and he's really having trouble with that Reckoning. Rux flashing away after the Ignite, and Format won't look to follow up on that. He will be fine trading an Ignite for a Flash, since it is a much longer cooldown, and since it'll force Rux back. Most likely Benign Sentinel will come here to hold the lane, but still that's a lot of farm denied to the opposing AP carry. And Matt will have a very strong late game, as will Rux. They just have very different purposes in the late game. Rux's is much more about the control in a team fight, landing up a nice command shockwave, and then using the protect and attack to just kind of form the fight, protecting the AD carry, maybe zoning out the enemy AD carry. But Format is really just a damage bot. Of course, has the potential to shield his own AD carry, maybe heal them, getting him better positioning. But Kale really relies on getting in there for the auto attack, so it can be a very dangerous role. But she can also really deal a massive amounts of damage and shred. when she gets into a fight. Oh, the man drops coming down here onto Microlatios and Evaniscus. Microlatios falling low. The lantern comes out for the shield. Microlatios will escape off the side. There is the fillet right into the snare. The Descendants brings Benign Sentinel back in. He pops the box, but he's not quite in range. Ace in the hole comes across. He flashes the build over Peacemaker, and Evaniscus will escape from this one alive. Benign Sentinel not quite getting caught by that zap, and a lot traded back and forth. No kills. Microlatios has to be careful that he doesn't give up this turret here, since that would be a nice amount of gold over here to the Dinguses. Meanwhile, Scarra is coming up to the top lane. A shadowy figure isn't going to spot this out. There's a war jump over the Dragon's Rage into the tower. Getsnuggle's going to go on into immediately, and a shadowy figure is going to fall to the turret and to Scarra before he even manages to get off that bite. Getsnuggled with yet another advantage in the top lane, really building up his items heavily. He has a Kindle Gem and a Giant's Belt for a massive amount of health, which is the priority build on Mundo, as it is on Volibear. Scarra going for a particularly aggressive build of the Spirit of the Other Lizard will be answered by Benign Sentinel, but not soon enough. He is behind enough that he hasn't been able to finish that jungle item, which really puts him behind in gold, since it does give you bonus gold every time you kill a large monster. In the mid lane, we see a Nashor's Tooth coming out of format, really capitalizing on that auto attack damage. Benign Sentinel ganking in the bottom lane there onto Microlatios, so the spear shot. There's a stun as well, and with a nice Heartseeker strike, he takes out the kill. Evaniscus tried to get onto Tang Tang and now is looking to run away. Rux will be there to cut him off, and Evaniscus has to be careful. We'll see how he escapes out from this one. There's no dragon to jump to, so he is going to try and jump over the wall, but those golems had already been finished off. Now Rux will be there for the slow from the Command Dissonance, the Command Shockwave as well, and Benign Sentinel grabbing the kill out with a crit from the spear shot. Going to return a bit here for the Dinguses, but they still are down about 2,000 in gold. Format pushed in the middle lane, and he will have some good turret taking potential with that Nashor's Tooth. He'll have even more once he gets a Lichbane, which I expect will be in that build. Right now, that Nashor's Tooth just going to capitalize on the synergy with Kale's Righteous Fury in giving bonus ability power and splash damage on every auto attack. Oh, here's the man drop coming in, and we'll see how Format can escape. Flashes out, and he won't be caught up there by the stun from Benign Sentinel. Good escape from Format. Another flash blown here will leave both of them without it, actually. So a gank could come in the mid soon. And neither of these AP carries have very good escapes. Up in the top lane, Getsnuggled and a shadowy figure are fighting rather intently. The ignite came down. The bite didn't do too much damage. Getsnuggled is sustaining quite a bit. Benign Sentinel comes up here, but he's potentially a bit too late. And Format is following up from behind, going to force them off of this turret. Getsnuggled defending up as best as he can, is falling slightly behind in farm. And it looks like both of these top laners are going for a Sunfire Cape first. So Scarra on a rampage in the bot lane, diving in onto Like a Machine. Evaniscus just chasing down Tang Tang in case he sticks around for too long. Scarra and Microlatios pushing down as hard as they can, and this should be the first turret of the game. Jinx has such enormous damage on turrets with that Pow Pow minigun that it won't survive too long to this onslaught. Scarra as well doing his best with that attack damage. 4-0 and 1 on that Lee Sin, coming off to a good start. Lee Sin doesn't have the best late game scaling, but in the early and mid game, he scales fantastically with weapons. Benign Sentinel looking again for a gank in the top lane, but Getsnuggled just staying too safe. Will have his ultimate up right now, is getting that regen, and I don't know that Benign Sentinel can dive this. He goes in for the Heartseeker strike. Getsnuggled is regenerating so much. He throws the ignite onto a shadowy figure. There is the slow as well. Shadowy figure really wants to spite for the execute damage, but Getsnuggled stays alive. Did have to blow his flash, but will keep this turret quite alive, allowing his team to grab the first turret in the bottom and bring themselves up to about a 3,000 gold advantage. Congratulations here to the Dweebs for coming out to an early lead. Rux might look to change this, though. There's the excellent flash in for the knockback, the Command Shockwave there to finish out the kill, and the bite, of course, for that very last hit. Format doing his best to push in the lane, isn't doing it quite quick enough, won't be able to get too many hits on this turret before Rux is there for the defense. Format might look to cut him off, and he's definitely doing strong in this 1-versus-1 matchup. He just can't afford to let Rux roam like that. If Orianna gets too far ahead, then she'll really be able to do a lot in team fights, especially if Benign Sentinel can get into the fight with a nice jump. A command shockwave into a Heartseeker Strike could do massive AoE damage there. There's a man drop coming in onto Evaniscus and Microlatios. He flashes out and throws down the lantern. Microlatios takes it out, and that was the combo they were looking for. Ace in the hole coming across, and the flash glitter lands. But Evaniscus is going to block up the first, and the second isn't quite enough damage to finish off Jinx. They have to be careful about sticking around here, and the turret will most likely fall, but still a good escape isn't going to lose them their lives. A shadowy figure here in the jungle going to finish off Scarra, shutting him down after he takes out a kill onto Rux. And this is coming pretty close. A lot of kills traded back and forth. The gold is actually only 1,400, separating the teams. So blue team making the calls they need to bring it back. The Dingus is making strong plays. I'm not sure either team can go for the dragon right here, but Evaniscus will do his best to clear out that pit. He didn't spot that warden there with his scanning trinket, and so they won't know it's there if they do decide to go for this. And I'm not sure which team will be the first to make that call, since with everyone alive, there's no clear opportunity. Get snuggled in the shadowy figure, trading low here, but neither one wants to stick around on low health. A shadowy figure knows that gets snuggled to be regenerating up a lot. There's a stun going down onto Format. Actually, Like a Machine is there as well for the slow. The command shockwave as well. Format pops the intervention, but it won't keep him alive for too much longer. Rux takes out the kill there with the command dissonance. Meanwhile, red team opts to go here for the dragon. Dweeb's trying to take this down, but the dinguses are there for the counter. There's the flash in for the spear shot and the smite to seal it away. Benign Sentinel taking that for his team as they do chip down this mid turret, and that's a huge amount of global gold here for the dinguses, bringing them equal in gold for the first time in quite a while, taking the dragon and the turret. Scarra tries to ward jump in for the sonic wave, but it is tanked up there by Volibear, and he will fall back off of this one. He has to really be able to push this advantage since Lee Sin is such a strong early game champion. But one could say that Benign Sentinel on Pantheon is as well. He doesn't scale quite so well into the late game just due to his issues with balancing tankiness and damage, which can be the same issue on Lee Sin as well. One thing that Pantheon is going for them, though, is the guaranteed crit chance. So if he gets a little bit of attack damage, he'll always do some decent damage. He's actually opting for, with that Avarice Blade and with the Brutalizer, he's going to go for a Yumu's Ghost Blade here, which is a pretty interesting pickup. They will have to give up a turret here. Dweeb's taking that one out, going to bring themselves back up in the advantage only by about 1,000. Scarra now roaming through the jungle with 3 members of his team will make a pretty aggressive play here. A shadowy figure just taking up a briefcase, and I'm not sure what the Dweebs will get from this. But at least they're playing risky. They're trying to press their advantage instead of just sitting on it and allowing blue team to pick them off. The Dinguses have done a good job of that so far, and of staying alive. They have a 2-1 Pantheon, and everyone else doesn't have the best score, but they've been farming up relatively well. They are even in pretty much every lane here. Scarra tries to jump in on the Rux. He throws the command shockwave, but he falls immediately after. Benign Sentinel jumps in, grabs the stun, tries to turn on to Evaniscus, does a massive damage. Will that damage over time? No, I believe Evaniscus leveled up there. And Benign Sentinel did fall down to Scarra in the end. Red team doesn't quite have the health for a Baron yet. And so instead they will go ahead and take the consolation prize there of the blue buff, as well as taking out this jungle just a bit. Microlatia is going to come in for some siege on the turret. Has to be careful of the damage from Tang Tang. He is opting for a Bloodthirster first. It's 19 minutes in and he still hasn't been able to pick it up. So he's quite behind in his build, which is going to be a pretty bad situation for Caitlyn. A shadowy figure now caught up here between Scarra and Get Snuggled. He has his flash in a minute, but I'm not sure it'll be up in time. The Sonic Wave Resonate Strike comes in. They're bursting down quickly the Wild Growth from Lulu, keeping him alive for now, going to force Get Snuggled and Scarra off of this kill. Good save there from Like a Machine, utilizing that ultimate to keep the kills off their team for now. They're still about 2,500 gold down after losing a couple of key kills there, as well as that blue buff. Microlatios and Evaniscus continuing to push aggressively here in the mid lane. Benign Sentinel wants to come in here for a stun. He doesn't have his flash though, so I don't think he'll find that engage. And there's always Evaniscus to push him off there with the fillet and keep him off with the box, which isn't up but has a pretty short cooldown and will be up soon enough. Microlacious now just falling down here to farm is beginning to get ahead of this Caitlyn with the 4 assists. He's already been able to pick up his Bloodthirster, which was just finally answered by Caitlyn, and he'll most likely now go for a Static Shiv for the wave clear. Also has the option of going for either a Last Whisper or a Phantom Dancer, just depending on what he's opting for here. We'll see what his goal is. I would most likely expect a Static Shiv just for the excellent siege potential that comes with that, for the wave clear as well as the movement and attack speed. Evaniscus coming out here just going to go ahead and ward up the Tri-Bush. Putting them in a position to push up farther is not going to get himself caught out here today. Format as well, just clearing out these waves endlessly with the Righteous Fury. Rux looked to be lining up the Command Shockwave potentially for a shadowy figure to come in. And every lane here is pushing in on the red team. The Dweebs are really closing in on them, and I feel like once they get everyone out there in the lanes, they should be able to collapse onto the Dinguses here. Get snuggled with that Sunfire Cape as well as most of a Spirit Visage. Going to come out here pretty strong as a tank, answered by only a Sunfire Cape there from Volibear. Scarra has joined up here as well, and Format and Microlacious are coming in from behind, and this could be the turret falling the blue team. Dinguses are really responding slowly, and they're going to let this inner turret fall. A shadowy figure surviving off the side of that, putting on a lot of damage on the Scarra. Command Shockwave only going to catch up, get snuggled. The intervention comes down. The Wild Growth is there for the slow and the knockup. Get snuggled, has to be careful. Ace in the hole comes across. Isn't enough damage. The Ignite is down. A shadowy figure does fling him over, and that will be a dead Mundo. Finally, Format turning around with a nice amount of damage. Evaniscus coming over the side does catch up Rux, but they don't want to commit to this without their tank. Evaniscus now could be caught. He flays back a shadowy figure, flashes, throws down the box. That is going to stop the aggression here from the Dinguses. The man drop coming in, though, might be enough to bring it back. He jumps right in there on Evaniscus, bursting down quickly. The spear shot coming in. Super Mega Death Rocket catching on the shadowy figure, not doing too much damage across here. If it had landed on the Benign Sentinel, it might have been able to take him out, but without the low health on anyone else. Scarra jumping in here for some huge damage on the Tang Tang, but he can't dive into the 3 enemies quite yet. Going to return some damage. Might look for another Sonic Wave. Almost catches Caitlyn there, and that could have been the kill, but with that, the Dweebs really did come out with some over-aggression, but they should be able to turn this into a dragon after due to the low health of Volibear and Tang Tang here. I really don't think they'll be able to follow up here. That will be Microlacious and Scarra moving here onto the dragon. Scarra maybe opting to take that red buff first, and there is the steal coming across. As Get Snuggled has finally respawned, joined his team, picked up the Spirit Visage. Scarra going for a more aggressive build of the Spirit of the Elder Lizard and the Ravenous Hydra. Format opting for the auto attack heavy build from the Nashor's Tooth and the Lichbane. From here, he has the options of some more aggression from a Rabadon's Death Cap, potentially some defense from Azania's Hourglass, and he's really quite flexible. Benign Sentinel, I don't think he can duel Scarra 1 versus 1. Scarra's going to turn around and call his bluff, but there's the rest of the team there. The knockup from the Wild Growth, the Piltover Peacemaker for a nice amount of damage, and Benign Sentinel grabbing up the kill. Scarra getting baited in there into 4 members of the Dinguses, and Dweebs have to be careful of giving up kills like that, because even though they're in the advantage, making a choice to go into a blind fight like that is the best way to give up that advantage. Meanwhile, Benign Sentinel has as well gone for a very aggressive build. There's a Yuumu's Ghostblade picked up on top of the Spirit of the Elder Lizard, and a Brutalizer as well going to be turned into a Black Cleaver. A lot of flat armor penetration on this Pantheon. Of course, won't scale quite as well into the late game, and he has to be careful about some armor stacking, but right now the armor's really only coming out of Mundo. Scarra picking up the Giant's Belt will look for a bit of tankiness, at least in the form of health, and Jinx going for the Zeal and the Bloodthirster, mirrored as well by Tang Tang. These supports builds are differing quite heavily with Evaniscus going for the Talisman of Ascension, as well as Ruby Sightstone, while Like a Machine actually going for a Mikhail's Crucible, a Sightstone, and even that Frost Queen's Claim. With the Dweebs attempting the Baron here, they are going to be forced off by the rest of the blue team coming in there. Evaniscus just leashing onto the Baron there, going to take a bit of damage. Scarra having to flash away here from the advance of a shadowy figure. I'm finally liking that name now. That's pretty cool. We'll see if a shadowy figure can engage the fight. He's going to run right in there, looking for the jump there, but the flays back from Evaniscus are enough to ward off this initiation. So far, Gitsnuggle just trying to throw in some briefcases from the side. They have to be careful, this Volibear here. He's getting pretty big, going to pick up a Spirit Visage soon. Potentially could opt for a Banshee's Veil, but I'm not quite sure he will. There's a fling in onto Evaniscus. The Innervation is down on the Thresh, but that's not necessarily the target you want to keep alive. Benign Sentinel will pick up the kill with the AoE damage, but will fall there to Microlatios. He's pretty strong right now. Will he be able to turn around? No, the Command Shockwave misses everybody. And I'm looking for the turnaround here. Format goes in for a kill, but they don't quite continue on. Rux still has most of his health. He's actually coming out with a lot of damage here, picking up that Rabadon's Death Cap on top of his Athene's Unholy Grail. Gitsnuggle still trying to run off the side. Shadow Figure sped up here by the Command Dissonance, is looking to catch up onto him. He gets the slow, and that's Gitsnuggle going down here to Rux. Microlatios some slows from this side, going to try and at least keep them from going for the Baron, and with these low health bars, I don't suspect them to make that call here. Instead, they will just come away with a bit of a team fight victory in the end. About 2,000 gold behind. Will still be in this game, still are slightly in the disadvantage, but I'm sure the Dinguses aren't quite ready to give up yet. I'm interested to see where the next initiation is going to come out. If Microlatios is going to get caught here in the mid lane potentially, or if Evaniscus can land a nice death sentence. Those could even be the same things if they get a little bit too risky pushing out those lanes. Instead, Microlatios is going to look to finally recall after that fight. He has the Static Shiv here. My instincts were correct. Meanwhile, Format has picked up that Nuzlocke Rod, going to go for, like I said, either the Rabadon's Death Cap or the Zhonya's Hourglass. He still has the potential to choose. Jinx now with the pickaxe, probably going to go for Last Whisper here. It is getting later on into the game, almost at 30 minutes. Still has a chance to go for the Infinity Edge. Not a lot of armor out on anyone on the Dinguses except for a Shadowy Figure. However, a more typical path would be the Last Whisper. Tang, meanwhile, will be opting for the Phantom Dancer, going for a slightly more expensive build. Oh, there's a Dissonance landing on the Rux, but Format can't quite run around. There's Benign Sentinel and Like a Machine there to stop his advancement. Scarra going to come around to the side and join his team. This could be the 5 versus 5. There is huge damage on a Tang. Format coming out massively in that fight. A Shadow Figure just forced to run away, but the nice Command Shockwave going to take out Scarra before he really gets in the fight. Evaniscus fell low. The man drops coming in from behind. He's going to jump immediately on Evaniscus and take him out. Format is fighting from behind, doing a lot of damage. There is a second kill on the Benign Sentinel. He's going to find, will he get it onto Shadowy Figure? No, not quite. And Rux is able to grab out Microlatios there with the Command Protect coming back in for that return damage. Actually a team fight win here for the Dinguses, but are the Dweebs going to go for the Baron here? There isn't any ward coverage. It looks like Gitsnuggled once, or at least they're going to hide out trying to catch someone. Like a Machine going to come and just take out a ward here. Rux trying to find that command attack onto Format, hitting him for a bit of damage, but Format has some immense burst right now. He's going to try and go in Like a Machine, but with the Hex, he will fall to Rux. A bit too far forward now. Gitsnuggled going to run in there, but he's in a 1 versus 4, and this is this a foreshadowing of the Super Bowl? Is it just going to be throws right back and forth? And right now, I mean, that looked like it snuggled in the quarterback role, unfortunately. Scarra is going to come in here for a nice amount of burst damage. Can he take the Lantern out, though? No! That's going to be the passive, the help picks from Like a Machine, following after Scarra, taking him out before the Ace in the Hole even connected. Tang still has that available. Evaniscus and Microlatios will do their best to try and delay this Baron at least. Microlatios knocked out by the Baron, not quite looking at his feet. Super Mega Deathworker comes across, does a good amount of damage, but not enough. Like a Machine does pop that on himself. Rux going to be caught up here by the Descendants, taken out by the Zap, and that's 2 members trying to finish off Baron, while Microlatios and Evaniscus finish off the rest of them, but that's Evaniscus going down, and Tang going in soon after Benign Sentinel did take out that Baron buff. So now the Dinguses in the lead by 2,000, finishing off the Baron, taking out 3 kills around that Baron pit. and really a huge succession of advantages just coming one after the other. They're still down in turrets, but they can certainly return them now that they are ahead in gold. If we take a look at what they're putting this gold into, Rux is really getting far ahead, taking out a Void Staff on top of his Rabadon's Death Cap, going to be looking for a Zhonya's Hourglass next to stay safe. The Dweebs will return a bit of this gold here and pick up a nice dragon for their team. Format finally finishing out their Rabadon's Death Cap. Going to look to be very strong as well, but it's just a matter of if he can stay in the fight long enough to do damage. Like I said earlier, Rux is more about controlling the fight, dealing damage from a range, where Matt might have a higher damage potential, but he has to be close. A shadowy figure as well, building up his tankiness. That Giant's Belt most likely going to go into a Randuin's Omen, which looks to be the exact same build here from Get Snuggled. The Sunfire Cape, Spirit Visage, and then Randuin's Omen after that one. Scarra as well opting for a Randuin's, picking up that Giant's Belt along with the Warden's Mail. Microlatios finishing off that last Whisper. Going to have some solid auto attack damage, not quite as much as he could if he had a Infinity Edge, but that armor penetration certainly going to come through for him after the Randuin's pickup from Pantheon, who got a lot of gold after last play. Scarra does steal away the big Wraith here, which will be a small consolation after a series of losses. 5,000 here in the lead for the Dinguses. Going to be close coming into this next fight, but it could be the Baron buff making the difference here. They have a good amount of stats coming out from that, as well as some solid regeneration. They will discover that the Dweebs recently took the dragon, so they don't have that to bide their time. Instead, I might expect them to go in here for a turret. They aren't grouping up. They don't have Benign Sentinel in. Of course, he always has his Grand Skyfall to come in, and that is a possibility. A shadowy figure caught up by the Death Sentence, not taking much damage at all, might look to tank out some of this turret while Tang and Rux auto attack it. Benign Sentinel finally coming here to join, and this is the siege coming out from the Dinguses, and it looks to be unanswered. That is a turret going down here. They will be about 1,300 in the lead, and they're not looking to stop. Descendants misses, and that is a few more seconds here with no possibility of engage. Get Snuggled, sticking around the back. Descendants lands onto Volibear, not the target they're looking for. They really need to catch Rux or Tang. A lot of damage onto Tang. Could be their cue to go in. Descendants lands on the Shadow Figure again, and a good amount of damage comes out from the Reckoning. But Get Snuggled just doesn't quite do enough with those briefcases to really ward off the Dinguses here. They really need more from that. Maybe if Matt can get in there for a few more Reckonings, that'll be what they need. Scarra caught out here is going to flash right onto the Lantern. A good escape from a pretty rough situation. If he were to go down here, that could be even the inhibitor for the Dinguses. Instead, they're going to go back to this auto attack battle, back and forth. Scarra jumping over the wall, looking to get in there for a Dragon's Rage, and if he can find Tang, that could be the turn they need. He does catch on to like a machine with a Sonic Wave, and the Sentinel trying to chase him off. The auto attacks are coming down onto this tower. Dingus is slowly chipping away at that, but have to be careful. Their Baron buff is going to wear off very soon, and so they have to make a play quickly, or else it might be Dweeb's fight to win. Death Sentence there on Volibear again. I'm pretty sure he's used to it. Format doing massive damage with the Reckoning auto attack combo. Could force Benign Sentinel back since he doesn't have much sustain outside of that Baron buff. At least Tang can lifesteal up with that Bloodthirster. And that's actually going to be Red Team engaging. Scarra going in there with the intervention on top of him. A Shadow Figure tries to flash but fails it over the wall. Over a huge command shockwave here onto 3 members. Going to claim them up. Super Mega Death Lord comes through for a double kill for Microlatios. He's going to continue here on to Rux. Has to be careful of the damage from the command attack. It Snuggled almost falls but has the sadism. And there's the heal from Format going to keep him alive long enough. A ping back onto the Dinguses could force them back to base. Scarra going to run away. Might look to go in for a hit if his team can come and join him, though. Tang is rather low, and I believe Scarra could assassinate him. He instead jumps in here, taking a lot of damage. There's the Ignite, and the auto attack's coming in from Rux. The command attack, not quite finishing off. He flashes after for the auto attack, but can't get it. And here's the rest of the Dweebs trying to collapse onto Rux. The rest, who are they chasing onto? Format can't quite find anyone, and they're all on low health. Is this going to be a turnaround from the Dinguses? Oh, Microlacio's caught here in between the trees. The intervention comes out again. Format has some really low cooldowns on this, and Microlacio's trying to find a kill on the Tang. Tang flashes away. Rux, meanwhile, does find a kill on the Scarra, and the ace in the hole goes right through the middle of him. I need to rewatch that one. Alright, so here it is. There's the intervention going down on the Microlacio's. Format trying to get away from this one. Microlacio's will survive through this one. Ace in the hole. Yeah, if it gets no, can't quite get in there in time. And meanwhile, Rux in the mid lane did take out Scarra. So Dingus is really coming out ahead at every point. Are only 1,500 gold up. So it's not that close. Tang here could be in trouble from Get Snuggled, but he has to back off, especially due to that wild growth from Like a Machine. Always there to save his teammates. This has been a pretty high kill game. 40. Oh, Super Mega Death Rocket going to miss everyone. Let's see if it connects. Nope, we're falling all the way to the end, and that won't be anyone there. So that's 40 kills here in about 36 minutes. So actually a lot fewer kills than we've seen in the past. We've gotten up to almost 3 kills a minute on stream before, so just more than 1 a minute is nothing. This is challenger level play, so these are some really solid players, but mistakes have been made, especially here by the Dweebs, who were in such a commanding lead of the game, but did give it up quite a bit. Evanisca is going to try and take out these pink wards, but when you throw in 2 pink wards, that's a lot of time spent having to take them out, and it gives you time to respond to that, so he can't even take down the first before a shadowy figure comes there to ward him off. Get Snuggled might test his luck, but a shadowy figure is there as well. Oh, I love saying that. A shadowy figure waits behind the corner. This is the part of the game where Lee Sin can really fall off, where he doesn't come through with a ton of damage, and he's really just in there to tank up and try to get off a nice Dragon's Rage on the enemy AD carry. However, Pantheon is coming out with a good amount of damage. He doesn't have the Black Cleaver yet. He has the Hexbringer for a bit of damage and defenses, but when he jumps in with the Randuin's Omen and pops that Yumi's Ghostblade, he can still do quite a bit of the enemy health bars. This is going to be the red team engage. Dingus is going to turn this around. There's a shadowy figure running in, trying to catch on. There he is on the Microlacio's. Get Snuggled, taking up what he can with his regeneration. Evanisca coming in from the side, and this is one of the craziest team fights I've ever seen. A shadowy figure does take out a kill on the Microlacio's. 1 versus 1. Tang survives off the side, throws an ace in the hole onto Format, who does intervention himself, but the nice command shockwave really forcing Format just to bounce up and down. Evanisca is trying to run away here from the man drop. He's going to fly away benign Sentinel. He pops the slow from the Randuins. That's going to be enough to catch on for the stun. And I don't expect Evanisca to survive through this one. Another flay back. He doesn't have his flash up, and that will be him falling. This could be the game here for the blue team. Only Get Snuggled is alive here for the Dweebs, and so looking like Dingus's game to lose. There are long respawn timers here. 16 seconds going to be the next one up here on Microlacio's, and I don't think it'll be enough. That will be the game here for the Dinguses. Congratulations to Rux, a shadowy figure, benign Sentinel, Tang, and Like a Machine for taking out the game in about 38.5 minutes. Shadowy figure going to kill himself on the base turret as Get Snuggled takes at least one more kill for his KDA. And that is the game there. Challenger level. Turning out to be exciting, but ultimately a game of throws for the Dweebs. Dingus is coming out strong, playing consistently, not giving up at any point. And I'd really like to give the MVP award up here to Rux for landing some nice shockwaves. There was one that didn't hit anyone, but aside from that, I think they were all pretty instrumental in winning those team fights for him.